Ladies and gentlemen, here we go with game number 1 between Liquid Jinro and Evil Genius Idra. Idra.
Is that his name? His new name? Idra, indeed.
Starting map will be Naga Caverns, and this is the last time we'll see these players in the group stages.
How sad, man.
QQ.
How sad to see them go. But you know what? We'll see them again in the future, of course.
Of course we will.
I mean, you know what? These players, I'm pretty big fans of both of them, especially Idra, I got to say. I mean, I've said it before, but I really do enjoy his play, and recently he's been playing very well, man. We saw him not only win IEM China, but also, of course, he just won the Asus ROG Stars Invite over Select in the finals.
His fire.
Yeah, his ZVT is clearly just getting from good and great to better and better. Now, I am curious to see, of course, if, you know, since he will be in the finals, will of course, his ZVP be catching up to par. But, of course, we're not going to be seeing that in this game. That's just something I'm curious about, man. But we are going to have a ZVT here, Jinro versus Idra.
I do want to mention Idra. This is a must-win situation for him to be top 2 in his division. So if he wins this, he will advance to the NASL finals. If he doesn't, he has to play in the grueling NASL playoff stages.
Oh, man. My mistake.
Which actually, you know, it's not a great position that he wants to be in, of course. I mean,
of course
obviously,
not.
you want to just qualify right away and not play against, like, just fantastic players.
Yeah, now these players have played before, Andre. We've seen them play against each other. We want to maybe talk about the last time we saw these guys play?
It was Clash of the Titans, man.
Yeah, man.
This was so long ago. It was the first, I guess, NASL show match that we have ever had, and they played for quite a bit of money. I think it was a $1,000 prize pool or something like that, or $500. I forgot now. But they played just to kick things off, and then we announced NASL. Boy, have things changed since then.
Oh, yeah, man. And look at that. Actually, you know, we do see the proxy second barracks from Jinro, so he's opening up the series with some heavy early aggression. But look at Idra, man. After his hatch first, he did go pool. He didn't go gas and then pool, despite the fact that it is a really wide open map, and I know a lot of Zergs like to go for that gas, so he can get that speed, be able to actually be a little bit more mobile. So with that earlier pool, he will have a little bit of an easier time defending against this. And of course, this is 1.4, so you know, that extra 5 seconds on the barracks could cost Jinro a little bit here in terms of actually being able to do this. Oh, actually has to lift his barracks and land it back down and get his SCV on the other side of that, so he can actually go and build that bunker. That is going to delay that Marine even longer.
Look at that positioning. Such an interesting position. He actually reveals this happening, and a second bunker goes down. That is a really great position. It makes it so hard to actually kill or attack this top bunker, and really stops or protects the SCV, in my opinion. Now, oh, look at this. A Marine is coming up here, and what is it going to do? I mean, 3 drones are going to chase it. It goes between the little nooch, but oh my god! A nice drone drill stops the Marine from getting fully across. And that's a new Jinro is in a terrible position at this point.
Now he does have a bunker done, though. If he can get that Marine into the bunker, the drones are trying to block it. They do block it from getting close to it. It's trying to walk around. Gonna get in there. Oh, it does actually get in. So that's gonna be a little bit annoying. But look how many drones the Zerglings Idra has here, and there's just one SCV to repair, and it has started repairing. It looks like the Marine actually went down to the lower bunker, which is being repaired. But the SCV gets picked off. Another Marine coming in, but no, and actually he gets the salvage off in the top one. But you know what? Jinro did not do nearly as much damage as he was hoping there. Now he's gonna lose this next Marine as well, probably going to be forced to lift this barracks, and the Idra just defended that without taking almost any losses, man. Look at the workers killed. Man. Oh my gosh, 2-2, unbelievable. Idra, you know, did just as much economic damage as he took there. He's in an absolutely fantastic position, but oh my gosh, a very quick triple orbital build from Jinro. This might be what it needs to get back into this game.
Exactly. Jinro knows he's behind at this point. He's not like terribly losing, but he is behind. Now, what do you do when you're behind? You try to do something drastic. At this point, he's saying, okay, Zergling Baneling can kill me. I know it can kill me, but I'm not in a position where I can really defend against everything in an efficient way. So let me assume my opponent isn't going to do a couple of these builds, and now I can make a very efficient build. It's not just assuming, man. This is what I love about Jinro's play. He is so smart. He's barrack scouting with his proxy barracks. If he was assuming, that would be dangerous. He might die to a Baneling bust, but he's actually checking. He sees the gas timing. He sees no quick second gas or anything like that, and that's just going to let him know that he is secure with that triple orbital play. So that's just such a smart move, and I actually would have liked to have seen Jinro get
or Idra get maybe just a little bit earlier gas there after defending that, so he could go for some type of maybe banding bust since he had so many Zerglings ready to go. But it looks like he's just going to use those to pick off the rocks at the gold, so maybe Idra will be able to just take himself a very quick third this game and be able to stay even against Jinro, who's of course going for that quick third orbital of his own.
Now, the third orbital is a double-edged sword in my opinion. Yes, he is getting an orbital command center after this. I've seen actually Kwai Rice do something like this, but he doesn't transform his third command center into orbital command center. And you might ask why he does that. He used to do that on the old Shakur's Plateau, and it's because he wants to be able to get enough SCVs, but he wants to turn into a planetary fortress. At that gold expansion, which is the third, or Jinro's third, or what he wants to take, that will be an orbital command center there. Having that in such a forward position can be very dangerous going into the later stages.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be really careful. Looks like, I mean, the gold rocks have been taken out from Idra. Of course, Jinro has not moved out, so he hasn't taken out his own, so won't be able to do that quickly. But of course, with the triple orbital, probably not going to want to take that early anyway, since he's not going for that planetary play. It does have to be just a little bit more safe. Probably going to take his natural pretty soon, though. I'm actually pretty surprised he hasn't moved down to take that just yet. But he's also using that barracks to block the third of Idra. Now, of course, he can just take that gold, as we saw him already take that out. But meanwhile, what do we see Idra doing? He's actually just throwing down a second gas now. Yes, Zergling speed on the way, and he did continue mining gas. Has the Evo chamber on the way in the lair. So I think we're going to see that pretty much standard Idra style. There it is, quad gas, actually, where he just rushes up to Muta on 2 base, masses Muta, then gets his third.
I would be surprised if we saw anything different. He just loves that type of style, you know? Just look at that. He doesn't even have his lair completely up. But he has all of his economy running like crazy. Income tap showing 46 harvesters. 48, I think, is the optimal. Is that correct?
Well, it depends on how much gas you have, but of course you just want 2 on each mineral patch and 3 on each extractor. So he is at or above actually optimal saturation on each base.
So, you know, obviously Idra in just a fantastic position at this point. He's even beating the income of his opponent. But we'll see that change very soon. As
three mules at a time at the national, man.
Will be just smashing out on that extra expansion that he just got.
Yeah, that will help out Jinro, of course, quite a bit. You know, with his economy, when you can just triple mule up on 2 base, you still get quite a bit of income. Of course, having that third base could be even better, but no big deal. And he's actually producing Marines from that proxied barracks as well. So he's just continuing his production, continuing to block that expansion. Look at that. The drone went out from Idra, sees the barracks, and isn't going to be able to take that base just yet. He's going to be able to, of course, take that out with Lings, no problem. But oh my gosh, actually, here comes some Hellions from Jinro, and he does have blue flames, so Idra's not going to be able to engage with these Lings. Just going to be forced to run away for now. We'll like to see him try to take the gold, but of course, the Hellions have been denying that, as well as the creep spread from Idra. So yet again, Jinro not in that bad of a position. He's actually going to go ahead and wall off this entrance to his natural, and I really like that, just to limit the options for his opponent.
Zerglin just gets a quick kill and gets out of there. Not a big deal. Just I assume he's just checking, keeping tabs on what his opponent is doing. Saw the gas count only at least, well, at most 3 at this point. He saw this right end expansion being taken. Again, coming in here with these Zerglings just being a nuisance.
Yeah, really nice job. Just pick off any units you can. You know, keep Jinro on his back feet. Sometimes as a turn player, if you sit back and you take no damage for quite a while and no pressure, you just think to yourself, wow, this Zerg is probably over droning, and then you just go for some aggression. So it's critical that Idra does, of course, keep up that pressure and make sure that you know, Jinro stays in his base. He has gotten that barracks to float away, so he's going to go ahead and take that third base now. He has his Spire completing just now. He has about 700 gas, so only going to be able to make 7 mutas. Not the most. Actually, no, he does favor getting that flyer attacks upgrade, of course, but instead of that 7th mutas, just going to have 6 here for now. Now, that will be able to help deal with those Hellions, get them off the map, so you can take that map control once again, hold those Naga towers, prevent all this aggression that Jinro's putting on. But of course, he wants to increase that muta count as much as possible to be able to actually do some harass. But look at Jinro's base, man. 3 turrets in great positioning in the main, and some turrets at the natural as well. Jinro is actually very well prepared already ahead of time, and you know, Idra's probably not going to be able to do that much damage.
Yeah. And that's the big thing. I mean, mutas normally are just a power hitting unit in this stage. And, you know, I don't know if delaying the mutas this much was absolutely worth it. But Idra is Idra. I think he'll be able to find a couple of holes here and there.
Oh, yeah.
But still, it is hard on a map like Zelnaga Caverns when they're still on 2 base to actually take advantage. But look at this. I mean, Jinro trying to take his third at this point. His units have been pretty inactive for the most part, and I feel like that's really bad because the cold expansion, obviously these rocks are still here.
Yeah.
Look at this, the Orbital Command Center is making its way over.
Wow.
And the rocks still aren't ready to, well, they're still not blown down.
Yeah. You're right, man. I mean, that's like one of the #1 things to do with this build when you go for the quick orbital, quick third orbital, go for that gold, and it really doesn't make sense. You're right that he would just sit there with his army doing nothing instead of pulling off the rocks earlier. So it is a little bit of an inefficiency. Critically, also since the mutas are out, he's unable to continue being aggressive. And look how much the creep spread from Idra has exploded ever since he stopped taking that pressure. I mean, he's just getting really great creep spread all across the map. He's starting to connect over to that third as well. Actually, that's just the macro hash that's doing that. But he's in a pretty good position. He's got all these moves, and as you said, he'll be able to find holes in Jinro's plays, trying to pick off that tank. But you know, one of Idra's biggest strengths is his multitasking and his mechanics. So he has really good abilities to actually just continue microing those mutas and macro at the same time. But it looks like he might just go for a big engagement. Has a flank set up, some Lings on the right, Lings and Banelings on the left. He might just go forwards for this right now. He's moving in, and oh my god, this might be too much for Jinro to deal with, man.
I cannot believe he's actually made this call, and Jinro is in a lot of trouble at this point. Idra just taking advantage of the perfect time. He has a very overdeveloped army, and it looks like he does have to find a back away that's just too much. Zergling's actually pushing in, but he doesn't want to keep attacking onto that one bunker. Jinro in a really tough position because he's just traded his tanks.
Yeah, he really, it's really difficult in this type of a situation in TVZ when you lose that many tanks. Of course, the Marines you can rebuild pretty quickly, but tanks not only cost quite a bit of gas, but take quite a bit of time to build as well. And Idra is still doing damage with these mutas. Look at that, denying the gas, trying to prevent that tank out from going back, but he did take a hit from that Thor, so he's got to be careful. Jinro does have 2 Thors out, and if he had the tanks right now in the 2 Thors, you know, maybe he'd be able to push out, but as it is, he's going to have to wait before he can actually attack, and that's just going to give Idra more and more time to take more map control, get more creep spread, continue making mutas for harass, and maybe even take that 4th base at the gold.
And I want to point out, you know, the reason why that battle went so poorly, in my opinion, is because, well, first I want to talk about that Planetary Fortress. He should have Planetary Fortress up there. The second thing I want to say is the fact that I believe Jinro just did not have the, you know, just everything set up in time. He had that bunker making everything. It's just, again, when you go Blue Flame Hell and you have a lot of space in the middle map, bring down that wall, the destructible rocks, bring down the wall, get situated in that center, and start just playing super defensive. Don't let, you know, Idra take just such a decisive advantage in that stage.
And I really like his play as well with, you know, what he's doing with this medevac. He actually picked up a Thor. He saw the mutas were trying to engage in the main. So he picked up the Thor. Of course, it's like, you know, Thors are so slow. It's really hard to be mobile with them and defend at all places at once. So it's kind of like Reaver drops back in Brood War. You know, just pick them up in a speedier dropship instead of having to have them walk around. So just use that so you can defend in the main. Unfortunately, the mutas didn't actually poke back in, but he had really great scouting. He actually sent a Marine over to the 4th of Idra right as it was starting. So he saw that come up. He knows exactly what Idra is doing, and he'll be able to try to put pressure onto that base. But of course, Idra still has this amazing creep spread, and he's actually at 188 food against 165 for Jinro. So he's got to be careful with those mutas. He doesn't take too much damage from those Thors, though. Remember that one of the biggest weaknesses from Idra's play, man, is that he does really commit to that muta count. So if there is some big attack with a lot of Marines and Thors, it's going to be really difficult for him to deal with.
Here we go. Zergling's pressing forward. The mutas are going to magic box directly over the Thors. Another Thor gets picked up, but it's instantly magic box. There are just too many Zergling Banelings in here, and the Marines are forced back so far. Now the mutas are going to swoop in, and they are actually going to back up. I don't think, no, he's actually going to fully engage.
Oh my gosh. He only has 1 upgrades on those Marines, man. That's why they're not being effective right now against these mutalisks. He's been so far behind the upgrades this game. Maybe not behind, but just behind where he should be. Obviously not behind Idra, but that was a pretty great engagement there from Idra, even though he was attacking mostly from one angle. Just so many mutalisks, as you said, with the magic boxing. He picked off both Thors in 2 shots, 2 volleys. And he just wasn't able to do enough damage. Of course, those Thors attack so slowly, and when the mutas are spread out like that, the splash damage isn't that efficient.
And the fact that Idra has been able to retain his mutas and his opponent has not been able to keep his siege tanks and Thors alive just gives a dramatic advantage to Idra at this point. I mean, I don't see a great way for Jinro to deal with this many mutas out in the field. Well, 28, man.
He's going to go to Ghost Tech, and I think that's definitely a good choice. You can, of course, snipe those mutas. You can also snipe some of those, of course, Banelings as well, but he's coming in for the engagement. Idra is continuing to pick off not just Marines, but also those siege tanks. Continue to keep this army small from Jinro. I mean, this is just such a smart way to play Zerg. You continue to apply pressure, but you don't overcommit. Do not continue attacking and lose those mutalisks, lose those Banelings. Attack, kill off any tanks you can, and then just fall back, rebuild. And it's just working out out so unbelievably well for him. It's keeping Jinro's army small enough that he can't afford to move out for an engagement. And that allows Idra yet again to drone up, continue taking bases, get further and further ahead. And look at that, even as some Zerglings denying the fourth of Jinro down there at the bottom right. So Idra's in a great position. It looks like Jinro's going to move forward for an engagement now. He's moving his entire army forward, but look at how small this army is for the 20-minute mark. There's just 4 tanks here. You know, a small amount, well, not maybe a small amount, but about 21 Marines and just a couple medevacs. So I feel like Idra's going to be able to
gives a lot of power to those Zerglings. The Zerglings are doing exactly that, going forward. And there's just not enough tank fire to soak up all these Zerglings and Banelings. The Mutas are just too powerful at this point because the Marines have to walk back. They don't want to be hit by that Baneling splash damage. The Mutas are actually directly engaging onto the Marines. The Marines going into the bunkers, and it looks like Idra will back up from here, but still, he just, if he wants the position, he takes it, man. Yeah. He's going uncontested.
Very decisive.
Battle.
Yeah, I mean, there's just, I mean, you can see each one of these times that we have an engagement, it just comes out so far on top every single time. We're really well engaged, really well microed engagements. Even though he's attacking mostly from one angle, not going for the flanks, there's really subtle things that are just so phenomenal where he's just splitting up his Banelings just ever so slightly so they don't take that splash damage from the tanks. They don't all die in one volley like we see so many Zerg players doing. Oh no, tanks out of position. Jinro, his already low tank count is getting lower and lower from these mistakes, and Idra is now at 200 against 150 food, and his hive is completing. He'll be able to get those Broodlords out once he sacrifices some of his food and is able to free that up. I'm surprised he hasn't taken the gold base yet, but he's just so far ahead in this game. He took the 3 o'clock base as well, and Jinro has finally taken the bottom right expansion. He's going to try to set that up as a planetary, set up some turrets as well. Look how many mules he's dropping there, man. That is pretty hilarious, but
5 mules.
I feel like Idra's still getting further and further ahead this game.
Idra right now, Units tab is showing 84 supply of mutas. 84, man. You know
what scares me about that though, man? He has not been continuing those muta upgrades. He's just at 1-0, and that's it. So these Marines are actually at 3-2 now, and they actually are going to be quite efficient unless the Baneling streaming is coming in for the engagement. They're coming in from the right with the mutas on the left. The Baneling streaming. Can they get the connection? There's so many Marines here. The Ghosts are in there as well. Thors as well. Oh, great connections on those Banelings, and oh my gosh, that is going to be way too much for Jinro to deal with. Idra instantly remaxed with 50 more links and 7 more mutas. There's the GG. Idra has taken game number 1.
And that's going to do it for game number 1. Idra just looking dominating, man. That guy is so freaking good these days.
He looks so strong. And you know what? As a player like Jinro, you know, we know that Jinro really likes his tank usage, not just in TVZ, but TVT, we've heard him say time and time again, he thinks mech is like the right way to play. That's the way the game should be played. But you know what? You'd expect from a player like that he'd be extremely careful with his tanks. That's one of the number one kind of features of a good mech player is that they're able to keep those tanks alive, because as that tank count gets stronger and stronger, once you get up to like 10, 12 tanks, all of a sudden it's like no matter how many Banelings you have, they're just completely useless, it seems like, right? From a Zerg player's perspective. So the fact that he wasn't able to keep those tanks alive, and Idra was able to do so much damage with the mutas, keeping that tank count low all game long, really I feel like was the deciding factor that put Jinro so far behind that game.
Great, and you know, Idra was able to trade constantly, but the trades always benefit him.
Always.
He traded minerals for gas.
Right. He never lost mutas. Almost ever.
Yeah.
It was
and we've
insane.
seen so many other Zerg players just throw away mutas because they're staying in the battle too long. No, it's his recharge was always when his Zerglings die, or he would back away always when he thought his Zerglings were, you know, out of steam, out of the ability to actually do damage, because Zerglings actually don't do, or excuse me, mutas don't actually do damage in small numbers, you know?
Right.
Even the 12 to 20 count, yeah, they do good damage, but they're not the main damage dealing units until they get to that very, very high
It's also
count.
kind of like, I don't want to like overuse the phrase like glass cannon or whatever, but also that kind of a thing where, for example, let's say you're using like Roach Hydra. Like Hydras are so weak, they'll die quickly, but they do insane DPS. And I think the mutas, when they have the Zerglings, essentially what ends up happening is the Marines will be auto-attacking the Zerglings that are attacking in, which you don't care if the Zerglings are dying, it's like whatever, minerals, while the mutas are above raining down hellfire, and the Marines aren't even attacking back at them. So that's that strength, and he always made sure he was engaging with the Lings underneath.
Definitely. So looking very, very good game number 1. Let's go into game number 2 and see if he can continue his reign of terror. Join us. We'll be back with game number 2, Liquid Jinro versus EG Idra.